chain, simply the best podcast in crypto. Let's kick this thing off. Nishchal Shetty is the founder and CEO of WazirX, one of the most popular crypto exchanges in India. WazirX was recently acquired by Binance. In this conversation, we discuss Nishal's journey to crypto, what it is like building startups in India, the current state of crypto in the country, how regulators are currently thinking about the industry, and Nishal's advice to both people looking to serve Indian users or Indians who are looking into crypto. Nishal's been a friend for a number of years, and I couldn't be happier for him and his team with the recent acquisition. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you do as well. Anthony Pompliano is a partner at Morgan Creek Digital. All opinions expressed by Pomp or his guests on this podcast are solely their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Morgan Creek Digital or Morgan Creek Capital Management. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Pomp as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of his opinion. This podcast is for informational purposes only. All right, guys, bang, bang. I have Nishchal calling in from India. Super excited to have this conversation. Him and I have known each other now for a number of years, and obviously recently was announced that Binance is acquiring his company. So thanks so much for taking the time during a busy time period for you to come on and talk.
Hey, happy to be on the show, Pomp. I think we've been trying to get this done for a while, both of us. So finally, glad to be here on the show.
For sure. Let's just start with your background. I met you on a trip to India, kind of pre-crypto. So maybe just kind of fill everyone in on what you did before you discovered Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
Sure. I think, we met because of my first startup. I started this back in 2012. It's called Crowdfire, and it's a social media management tool. Before it was a social media management tool, it was a social media growth tool where we allowed users to grow on social networks using various growth features that we had. But along the way, all these social networks, as they grew, they wanted to keep all the money to themselves. So they changed the APIs, and now we've made it a social media management tool. And Crowdfire has had over 20 million users until now. It was during its time when I had launched it, it was one of the most viral apps around in 2012, 2013, and 14. I started with that. Before I started my startup, I was working at another startup in India, which got acquired, and then a few of us, we started our own side projects, and that's how my side project grew to be Crowdfire, and I quit my job. Then after building Crowdfire, I raised some venture capital. I raised about $2.5 million for that, and grew it further, grew the team size and stuff. From there, do you want me to tell about how I went into crypto from there?
So one of the things with Crowdfire that was so interesting to me is when we met, I came to the office, and I remember not really understanding or having an expectation as to a startup in India could go a lot of different ways from the perspective of somebody from the United States. And what struck me was not only I think kind of the size of the team and the quality of the people that you had hired, but even just the office itself, right? You had built a fairly palatial and kind of office environment that reminded me a lot of Silicon Valley startups, right? And so it was pretty cool to see kind of the culture that you were building there, even though, literally halfway across the world, a lot of the same things that people would see in a Silicon Valley startup were being implemented, in your organization, which I thought was pretty cool.
I still remember you coming in and then, being surprised and telling me that this looked more like a office in the valley rather than in India. But I think, having built products for a global audience, I've always believed that it's important to imbibe all of the stuff, not just your product, but the way you work with your people around you, the way you, the workplace, even the information you consume. If you want to build something global, you need to be global right from your core. And I think that was the principle that's led me to ensure that, we are not just just product-wise, we are not global, but we are global in terms of our thought process. So I think it all boils down to that. The core belief being, if you want to build for the world, be a citizen of the world. So yeah, that's how all of this happened, I guess. The office, the people.
And then when was the first time that you came across Bitcoin and cryptocurrency?
So my journey has been more of an on and off. In 2000, I think this was late 2009 or early 2010 when I came across the whole Bitcoin white paper, because I was someone who used to read a lot online, try everything new. So I specifically remember trying to mine Bitcoin. I don't know what happened after that, but I had sold off that computer after a year or two because I bought a new laptop. So I don't even remember whether I mined any or how much I mined, because it all went in that computer that I sold. But that was just a trial and error that I was trying back then because it was so new, and I left it. I had never thought that Bitcoin would be what it is. Then after that episode, I think it was 2013 or something, 2012 or 2013, when I tried on all these new set of crypto wallets that were coming online, including Coinbase at that time, and a couple of more. So that was my second stint with Bitcoin, where and this time I transferred some Bitcoins to my friends. They sent them to me. So that's how I tried it again. But then again, I think after a couple of months of just playing around with that, I left it. The third interaction was when I was pulled down to the rabbit hole, I would say, of crypto. That was 2017, probably the middle of the year, when Bitcoin was about to break out. And since then, I've been in it forever. I think now.
For sure. And so when that was going on, were the Coinbases and other kind of major exchanges, were they available in India, or were they only available outside?
No, they were not in India. I think I remember the only way I could get it was through a friend who sent it to me. And it was a small amount, but the way the friend could send it, because the friend was in the US or somewhere, or he got some payments. I don't remember exactly, but I don't think there was a way to buy Bitcoins in India in 2012 or 2013.
Got it. And so maybe talk a little bit about how you eventually came up with the idea for WazirX and kind of what you guys built out of the gate initially.
Yeah, so this was 2017, and surprisingly, even in 2017, while a few exchanges had cropped up in India, none of them seemed to be on par with the global products. And I've always this goes back to the background what we were just talking about, building global products. Yeah, and when you use them, and then I used all these Indian exchanges that existed, I realized there was a large disparity in the user experience or the way they treated their customers. So this was like the biggest pain point. I tried buying crypto from quite a few of the Indian exchanges in 2017, and the biggest thing I saw was the experience that I had on some global platforms versus Indian. It was a large disparity. And that was the biggest motivation, because me and a couple of my other colleagues also felt the same disparity. So we said that the Indian audiences, and when we see the potential of crypto, India can play a significant part, which means you cannot have a substandard product in the country if you want to onboard everyone to crypto. So that was the motivation which we took and said, can we, since we built Crowdfire, which is global, can we build another product which can be compared with other global products? And that's how we started. This was late December. 2017, the idea originated of let's build it. We launched finally in March 2018, when the bear market just was starting, I guess. So yeah, it was a good transition. You decide in the bull, the bear comes, what do you do? But because price was not the factor for us to get in, it never really was a concern for us. We still launched and kept growing.
For sure. And then maybe let's talk a little bit about kind of the environment around cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology in India, right? I think there's a lot of rumors that are spreading, especially outside of India, right? So people who don't live there, there's people who believe that crypto is banned. There's people who think that the government is, literally going to jail people who participate in this. But you're living there and really kind of at the ground truth of what's going on. So maybe give us an overview of what is the current environment around Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in India.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question, and there's a lot of confusion around this. But here's the thing: if you look at it from a legal or regulatory point of view in India, the only problem that India faces in terms of crypto today is the Central Bank of India, which is the Reserve Bank of India, not allowing crypto businesses to have bank accounts, which means they do not want crypto businesses to accept money from individuals. And in terms of our government, none of them has given any negative or positive statement. So it's been more the government, the lawmakers are more or less neutral, but the central bank has a problem with crypto. And I think the only way to navigate that was to not have a bank account, still allow people to participate in the whole crypto ecosystem, which we did with a peer-to-peer way of buying and selling cryptocurrencies. But you're, as an Indian citizen, you are free to hold crypto, you're free to sell it, you're free to use it, because the government has not come up with any laws against it. But recently, what happened a few months back is there was a draft bill that was proposed, and the draft bill was created by a committee that was set up by our government in late 2017. And that committee recommends a ban on crypto. Now, what has to be seen is that this committee is not like the final authority to come up with anything. They were entrusted with a certain work, they did it, and the committee does not, I don't think the committee sort of exists right now, because the head of the committee was transferred to a different department in India after the report. But yeah, that's the only draft bill. But if you see in the media, what happened is the moment this draft bill came, which was very surprising, honestly, having been working in crypto the last 20 months or so, I realized how news can be distorted in different ways. Before crypto, I never thought of news being distorted or changed. But the moment this draft was announced, I saw reports in various media which said India bans crypto, India will people will be jailed and sent to 10 years in prison. But honestly, this is just one of the many drafts that can come out. This might be a draft which might never be even discussed. We do not know, but this was just a recommendation by a committee that was set up by the government. It's not the government's views or anything.
Got it. And so let's talk first about kind of the central bank saying, hey, if you're a crypto company, you can't work with regulated financial institutions, right? It's kind of going after the dependency of the crypto industry on the legacy financial system. So that means that as a crypto business, you can't have a bank account, etc. How, as an entrepreneur building a company, are people getting over that obstacle, right? Like, what do you do if that is the position at the central bank?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is how do you run your company in the country then. But the good news is, if you do not deal directly with users' money, the banks are pretty much okay with you having a bank account. So the whole thing is, if you have a bank account and do not deal with your customers directly through that bank account, there are banks which are okay with it, because then you become just a software development firm, not a crypto exchange. So that's one way where what Indian companies are doing is they're creating bank accounts in India only for salary payments, not for accepting deposits from their users or processing any kind of fiat related activities. So that's like the first. The other, what a lot of other businesses are doing is they're registering outside the country, because that's a more straightforward, easy way. And in whatever foreign countries they register, that becomes their primary place of business. So that's the second way. But yeah, I think these are the two popular ways. Either you have a bank account in the country but do not do any activities related to crypto, just salaries and vendor payments, then you're good to go.
Got it. And then in terms of like paying employees and things like that, are most of the employees either at Wazir or other crypto companies taking their salaries in fiat, or are they taking it in crypto? And like, how does that play into the situation?
See, I think ideally, in terms of salaries, fiat is a better way in India because there's a lot of processing you have to do in terms of tax deductions at source and stuff. Which, if the company was to pay you in crypto, it becomes difficult because the government does not accept tax in anything apart from INR. And as a company, if you were to convert that, like I said, if you use your company bank account for any crypto transactions, like even converting your own company's crypto into fiat, you will have trouble with the banks. So fiat payments as salaries is the safest way today. I won't be surprised if employees want it in crypto because it's so much more convenient. They don't want to probably liquidate right away and just hold it. But I think from a company point of view, from a business point of view, right now in India, it's far easier to pay in fiat to employees as salaries rather than crypto payments.
Got it. And then in terms of the kind of individual citizen in India, walk me through a little bit about how much do they understand about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency? Where does that interest lie today? And kind of like what's the state of kind of an everyday person in India in relationship to cryptocurrency?
If you think about India, right, that you have to divide it by age groups, and if you look at the whole 18 to 24, 25-year-olds, I think a lot of them know about crypto, and that's because this age group is like really active on social media, especially Twitter and Facebook, and they come across Bitcoin somewhere or the other. So this age group, and it's also evident from the data that we have in our user base, this 18 to 25 is like the most active crypto community in India. It ranges probably right now today about 5 to 10 million people maybe in India in this age group understand. I think to be safe, let's consider maybe 5 million. They understand crypto and they're in the 18 to 25. The rest of the people around us, when we look at 30, 35, 40, 45, they've all, a lot of them have heard about crypto because of the whole 2017 bull run that happened. The crypto was all over the media, in the mainstream media in India, be it news channels, be it newspapers. Everyone knows about Bitcoin. Everyone knows there is something called as cryptocurrency. So if you were to talk to anyone in India, like the general population, which reads news or watches news or reads newspapers, they will tell you they've heard of Bitcoin, but they have no idea what it is. And similar to the question you asked, a lot of them think it's now illegal or not allowed to, trade in crypto, which is a myth that we are trying to burst by running campaigns online, talking to people, doing whatever shows we can, getting on our local news channel if we can. So we are doing that. But yeah, I think the niche 18 to 25-year-olds get deep into technology and stuff. About 5 million people, they completely understand crypto, what it is, the good, the bad, the ugly. But the rest, I think they've heard of it, but they do not really know what it is.
For sure. And I mean, India is such a large country, right? And growing so quickly that it feels like with things like demonetization and other kind of monetary policy decisions, et cetera, that India would be ripe for adoption of crypto. You think that's accurate, or is that kind of a misplaced perspective from someone who doesn't live?
I think these are two separate things. Like the whole demonetization that happened, I don't think that would be a reason for people to adopt crypto, because that's not something that it's more of a one-time event, I guess. In at least in the last 20, 30 years, I don't think there's been an event like that, and I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon again. But in terms of India being ripe for crypto adoption, I think I totally agree on that, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the demographic of India, a large population of India, probably, I don't know, 40% or so, lives in all the top tier one cities, tier one, tier two cities, which is like the metros and cities a bit, notch below that. And this is probably you're 300, 400 million people or 500 million people. And then there's an equal number of people, or maybe larger, who lives in tier 3 cities and villages and stuff. Now, for banking access, you need to have physical banks present in your region. But India has tens of thousands of villages and stuff, and cities also, which don't have access to these banking infrastructure. People still have to travel like a long distance to just be able to open a bank account. But most of these people have access to a mobile phone today and the internet. So if you come to think about it, if there is a way for these people to just enter the banking system or the financial system through the internet and through a mobile phone, I think that's where the revolution has the greatest potential. And this is where crypto can come in, because crypto is instant. You don't have to have your bank account, like your KYCs and stuff. Someone somewhere, probably some person in the city can just instantly send it to a wallet that you can access from. I think if that part, and there's a lot of things to be done before that is a reality, but I think if this whole access to crypto gets a mainstream adoption in India, I think a ton of people will enter the online financial system in India. So I'm a proponent of there being a huge opportunity for people to in India to get on to crypto. There's a real need, because crypto can penetrate where banks cannot, simply because India is too big, too vast, and there's a lot of people around.
For sure.
So yeah, but I think only time will tell.
And the way that I think about this is very similar to how like Uber is asset light transportation, Airbnb is asset light hospitality or hotels. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is basically asset light banking, right? And when you think of it that way,
Absolutely.
now you start to see a world where you don't have to go build that physical bank branch, right? You just need somebody to have an internet connection. And if they can get access to the internet, now you can give them the full suite of financial services. And as we know, by giving financial services to people, you can create significant inflection points in their societies and economies, right? So it's pretty empowering.
Absolutely. And, so one is the reach of crypto, which, crypto can reach where the internet can reach. It's that simple. But I think that's the other important piece that, a lot of people do not see, and it's probably real for India, is the access to capital. And I've been a big proponent of this, because look at the world today. Because of the internet, the access to information has no geographic boundaries. Whether you're even in the remotest village of India, you can actually come online and get access to the same kind of education that someone in the US in the valley is sitting and getting access to. But that's not true of capital access. Like take for example even the US or even Japan. You guys pay a really low rate of interest on capital when you raise, when you want to take a loan for whatever reason. In India, we have to pay about 10 to 15% rate of interest for the same capital that you get access to. And I think that if this becomes like a one global financial system, capital costs will come down considerably for a lot of countries, including India, where probably someday we can dream of getting it at maybe 2% rate of interest or 3% rate of interest, compared to the exorbitant cost we're doing today. And that can bring about a massive transformation in the lives of a lot of people in this country. I think that's where I'm the most excited about, the access to capital without geographic boundaries. I think crypto can make that happen.
For sure. And I guess part of this, in my opinion, is not only the access to the services, not only access to cheaper capital, but it's the increase of accessibility to the global markets as well, right? A lot of what you're talking about is kind of the individual, whether they're in a major city or one of the towns or villages, just getting them access to banking in general is positive. But if you then can open up the global access to financial assets and investment opportunities, you can really start to see wealth generation among billion plus people that have previously just not had access.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a massive opportunity, waiting to be unlocked.
For sure. And so where do you see that happening today, right? I think a lot of people who look at Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, etc., they say, look, there's a lot of promise here, right? There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of hype around this. But what's actually happening today? Maybe give us kind of your view. Obviously, you've built an exchange and been quite successful there, and we'll get to the Binance deal in a minute. But what else is kind of working in India today around crypto, and what are other products or services that people are using?
You want me to say it specific to India or the global markets in general?
Let's do India.
Yeah, see, I think India, we are probably, again, at the ground zero level, I guess, where it's a nascent ecosystem being built out. So the only way where people are understanding today, I think we're still at that level where people are just accustomed to understanding what crypto is, what potential it has. But there's a small portion of people who are into these crypto. I think lending is like one of the bigger use cases I'm seeing with people around me, where they're lending their crypto for a good rate of return. I think in general, probably somewhere from 5 to 10% is what you get online today if you are lending your crypto. So lending is turning out to be a good use case right now financially in the Indian ecosystem. But it's still very early days for real, I would say the next level of use case, probably the step 2 for crypto, which will only happen when we have the piping, which is like the infrastructure level built out completely. I think we're still too early to get into everyday use cases of crypto. Right now, it's in the buying phase, accumulation phase. That is what is happening in India right now.
Yeah, and to me, what you're talking about is what I call like the income generation vertical, right? Where basically, if I have an internet connection and I have any degree of capital, I actually can generate income without having to go to work, right? What I mean by that is I can participate in lending, I can participate in market making, I can participate in staking. Like there's a whole bunch of different mechanisms that the crypto world opens up to me where I can actually drive cash flow or yield and generate this income without having to go to a 9-to-5 desk job. And so those types of opportunities previously were just unavailable if one, you didn't have access to banking, or two, you didn't have access to kind of these income generating or revenue generating type mechanisms.
Absolutely. I mean, income generation is a big use case today. And I think one of the things I missed out is India has a lot of freelancers and a lot of people who work globally. I mean, they get work from anywhere in the globe. And I've heard of a lot of instances where for them the easiest way to accept payment was crypto, because they don't need to sign up on PayPal and pay a large fee, or even receiving foreign capital directly into your bank accounts in India is very hard. So this seems to be like a good way for the freelancers to just accept crypto. Like you're settled within a few minutes, and once your work is done. So I think that's the other use case, accepting international payments. It's becoming easier for Indians right now.
For sure. Now let's talk about WazirX and kind of what you guys built there, and then we can get into Binance. But what exactly have you guys built from a product standpoint so far?
Yeah. So when we launched in March 2018, about 3 weeks after our launch, the whole central bank banking restrictions came into effect, and we were very new, and we were like, oh shit, we got just 3 months. The bank gave us 3 months, gave everyone 3 months to stop, working on any fiat related businesses for cryptocurrency. So we were like, what do you do in 3 months? And we started figuring out, because we knew that we do not want to, keep our people stranded, our users, and where they don't have an opportunity to get in. And that's when we came across this whole concept of peer-to-peer. And it was not a new concept. There have been other products that do a peer-to-peer way of buying and selling of crypto. But what we noticed was there was a significant difference in the way you traded on a crypto-to-crypto exchange versus a peer-to-peer exchange. Like a peer-to-peer exchange had this traditional classified kind of way, like your Craigslist kind of way, where you put your buy and sell orders. Somebody comes up and selects it, and then you guys transfer money between each other, and you're done. We said that we wanted to build a peer-to-peer way, which will give the same experience as trading on a crypto-to-crypto product, which is you just have an order form, buy or sell form. You put it, you have an order book, and you see the buy and sell bids. You do not have to see any listings. The top bids come the best bids come at the top. So what we did is we replicated the crypto-to-crypto order book, but behind the scenes we had a peer-to-peer system, and we launched this just a day after the banking ban came into effect. And this was, for the first time in the world, somebody built a peer-to-peer auto-matching order book. This never existed before we built it. And surprisingly, people in India loved it because there was no learning curve anymore. You just had to put your orders and as soon as it matches, we just show you a bank account where you need to transfer the money. So that's all you need to do. You don't have to go through hundreds of listings of people selling you Bitcoins and going through the prices, mentally making notes on which prices are the best. You don't have to do any of that. You just come here on WazirX, you put your buy or sell order, we show you the bank account where you need to transfer the money. It was that simple. And that really, went crazy. Like everyone in the country started signing up. That gave us the massive boost. So in a way, if you look at it, the adversity turned into an opportunity for us.
Skirt, skirt. Want to know who has the best URL? Crypto.com. That's right, Crypto.com. They're a crypto platform with one goal: mass adoption. That's why we're all here. We're trying to get crypto in every wallet. Crypto.com is helping people do that through buying, earning, lending, and card payment. Everything you could want at Crypto.com. Go help your boy out. Tell him Pomp sent you. Download the app or visit Crypto.com. Pomp's got
registration verification email from WazirX. Click on it to verify your registration. Log into your newly created WazirX account. The next step is to complete the KYC. Start by adding your bank account details. This is where you will also receive money when you decide to sell your Bitcoin. You need to add your bank account, UPI, and if you like, you can also add Paytm account details. The bank account should belong to the same person/organization operating this WazirX account. You may only add one bank account. Click on Next. In the next step, you need to update your documents for the KYC. Here are the documents that are required. Copy of PAN card, your photo, address proof, Aadhaar card showing address or driving license or passport page showing address, passport page/Aadhaar card showing photo. In my case, I used my passport plus my PAN card to verify my account. This KYC verification